It is great to have you with us on the Golden Wings podcast. We are back to review the footy for one last time in 2026. Crazy to think it's already gone. Great to have Ryan and Noah alongside me this week. Lads, how are we?
Yeah, good. Yeah, doing well. Thanks for having me in again.
Now, you were in at the footy. Run us through the atmosphere. I think there was 43,000 and a massive kudos to anyone who braved the weather.
Yeah, the atmosphere was decent. The game itself felt a little bit hollow just because, it almost, like West Coast and even the Hawks were kind of locked into their ladder position. Like the Hawks had to win by like 100 to move up to third. So it was kind of felt a little bit meaningless. But the atmosphere was good. The fans came out and it was a tough watch. I'm going to be honest. It was a tough watch.
Yeah. I think we're all going to miss it, aren't we? When it's all said and done.
Yeah. Well, I think we always do miss it. Like after a bit of time, a bit of reflection, we always miss footy. It's always great to see. I mean, I'm more excited for the finals, to be honest. I'm excited for wild card. I'm excited to see, Bulldogs playing Collingwood, I think. And then Demons are taking on, is it Carlton? It's Carlton.
Yeah,
that'll be a good game. So I'm excited for finals for sure. And,
I hated when they brought in that wild card, but now that it's here, I'm kind of like, I'm actually looking forward to watching it.
Yeah.
No, 100%. For sure. Unfortunately, normally we'd be getting behind the AFLW girls, but don't want to write them off too early. But a couple big losses that they were probably expected to get. It could be nearing season over with these shortened seasons. So that's a shame. And obviously we saw the Waffle Boys finish up their year as well. So pretty doom and gloom from a West Coast perspective. It has been pretty hard to find some morale to get in here and review it, but we'll get through. We've got some segments this week just to wrap up the season, put a nice little bow on it.
Yeah.
We'll have a quick chat about the game. We'll move on pretty quickly. But obviously it was a pretty somber finish to the season last night. Unfortunately, the Hawks got it done by 62 points. So 10-goal loss and could be without Harley Reid to start next year.
Yeah, he's gone. I mean,
so dumb, right? Why would you do that?
Oh man,
no. I mean that the AFL hate that. They hate to see people get their head hit on the ground and a sling tackle like that. I feel like that's definitely at least going to be a week. And the only thing he really has going for him is that he didn't actually get concussed and that he played the rest of the game. But I mean, I don't think that really matters. Like he hit his head on the ground. He's in big trouble.
Yeah, he's suspended for sure.
Yeah, I mean Baker got suspended last game of last year as well, right? If I'm remembering correctly. So. Yeah, it'd be good if we had our best players at the start of the season, but no, well.
No, incredibly deflating. I think that's just about all we need to do for the Hawks review. We can
close that segment out.
Move on
that's
into
it.
We'll wrap up the season. I don't know. It'd be nice to have a look back on what's been and sort of find out where we sit, I suppose. Try and find our way through it. But why don't you get us started with your most improved player for the year? As I said, we'll do some segments, and one of the most exciting parts of rebuilding is the young talent on the list coming of age and taking that next step. We saw plenty of natural improvement in 2026 from some individuals. So who were our most improved players?
Well, I think our most improved player was actually Harley Reid, which I was kind of wondering if your best player can be your most improved player, but I think he is because, all of his stats really have improved quite a lot. He averaged, I think it was 18 disposals last year. He's up to 24 this year.
No.
I wrote that down before last night's game, so it might be slightly different, but 3.9 clearances last year, 6.7 clearances this year, 8.6 contested possessions, 13.4 contested possessions this year. And then he's actually kicked the same amount of goals. I think he got one goal last night, so he's got one more goal this year, which is but more shots generally. He's had a lot of misses, but I think he's improved out of sight.
It's a really good shout. I think you agreed, didn't you?
Oh, I totally agree. I think, last year he was copping a lot of smack. I think, he came in out of shape. I think he came into this season in really good nick and had a really good preseason. And you just see him reap the rewards. He's definitely clearing our best and fairest pretty easily, I think. I think he's definitely been our best player. Paul Rudog would have probably gone and got it if he was playing the rest of the season. IP Rudog, come back, please. We need you. But no, Harley was unreal this season. I think he's definitely stepped up as a leadership player as well. So it's really great to see. And his stats, like Noah said, have just gone up a level. And he's leading that midfield week in, week out.
Well, it's funny that you should mention Ruben. It's almost like we've scripted that, which we haven't. But Ruben Ginbey is my most improved player for this season. I think we always knew that he could be good. I wasn't convinced that he could be great. I think the start of this season just convinced me that we have a genuine weapon on our hands. And, a defensive anchor, which is a really important part of your rebuild. And when you look at some other teams that are rebuilding, we think of Essendon, North Melbourne and Richmond. You can't really look at their team and say they have a defensive warrior that they can build their backline around. They sort of draft these offensive-leaning players through the midfield. And listening to Kane and Kingy on SEN this morning, they were singing Ruben's praise and essentially saying how well the West Coast defence is set up for the future, for the next 10 years because of Ruben Ginbey. So what a great get that is for us, for him to come on in that way. And hopefully he can even go to another level, is what they were sort of suggesting, for him to go from just being a really nice lockdown defender to a clear interceptor. So that's really exciting. Some nice growth from a couple of leaders there, probably our two future captains, really, in Ruben and Harley. Some players who may be stiff to miss could be Rhett Bazzo and Bailey Williams, but I think they're going to appear in some other segments. We'll move on to first-year players. And again, in a rebuild, we're always looking for sort of that next phase to step up and drive the club forward. And this time last year, we didn't have any of these blokes on the list. So that is really exciting to think in 12 months we're going to be in the same boat, talking about some players that we're yet to bring onto the squad. So who were our favourite or our best first-year players for this year?
Well, I had Willem Dersma. I think,
hard to go past.
It's hard to go past. I think he's definitely got the most upside of any of our first-year players. He looks unreal. I think he's played a lot of positions this year, which has been great to see. I think that's definitely going to help his development in the long run. He's played forward, he's played wing, he's gone inside, he's gone down back as a spare. So he's definitely a very versatile player. That's what we brought him in for. I think he's that utility type, but we're seeing now that he can definitely be a strong inside mid for the future, 100%. I think Kane Cornsey said it in the game on the week yesterday that this guy's going to become a Bontempelli type, and he's got all the attributes to do it if he puts in the hard work, goes into a preseason and gets it done. So yeah, he's really my standout. I think definitely showed a lot of potential for the future, and he's definitely going to be a big player for West Coast in the future.
Yeah, I think he was definitely probably our best first-year player, but I went with a bit of a personal favourite. Milan Murdoch was the one that I picked because we sort of got him. I mean, I was going to say out of nowhere, but it's actually not really, because people in the waffle have known this guy as a Jet for a very long time and probably should be in the AFL, but he got that chance, at the last minute after Noah Long went down, sadly. But I just knew I liked him straight away because he got in for that first game against the Suns, and I remember we were getting pumped in that first half, but he was getting stuck into Mac Andrew, and I think he won like a 50-metre penalty and got a goal out of that. And then in that game against North the week after, kicked a big goal at the end there, and I just think he gave 100% in every game that he played. He was huge in that game against the Giants that we won. That goal he kicked on the siren was probably one of or maybe my favourite moment of the season. So I just love the way he went about it the entire year.
I want to say as well that I love the way he ended the season. I think he was definitely our best last night as well. I think
probably the best on the ground.
Best on the ground as well. He's unreal. So I think he started the season very well and he ended the season very well, which was great to see from Milan.
He sort of needed that, didn't he? Because he did fall away a little bit throughout the season. But geez, what a find, and in such a position of need too. Yeah. He probably isn't that top end small forward that we are going to sit back and marvel at his highlights, but just such a good find in that pressure game, and really important cog. So to pick those guys up off the scrap heap, it's massive for the team going forward. I think I agree with you too. I think you've nailed it. But if I had to go a different way, I'd probably say our other two first rounders as well. Yeah. In Cooper Duff-Tyler and Josh Lindsay. They're two that I'm really big on for the future, obviously. That should go without saying, given their pedigree. But I think they had really nice years. Josh Lindsay had, a couple of big games off halfback. I think he had a 30 disposal game at 95% efficiency against St Kilda, and he was probably the only shining light in that 100-point loss. And Cooper Duff-Tyler's done some really nice things around the ground and kicked a lot of goals early on in the season. He was on track to kick more than Oscar Allen, which is obviously we got rid of Oscar to get Coop. So it'd be interesting to see where that finished up, that tally over the entirety of the year. But just a couple players who I think showed enough to suggest that they're going to be really good players for the long term, which is nice. There is always a surprise packet every year, good or bad. I've got some names here. Who was your biggest surprise for this season?
Yeah, mine was Tom Cole, just because I kind of thought maybe at the start of the year this might be the end for him. I sort of was struggling to see how he could keep a spot in the team or have an impact. But Andrew McQualter, I know he has some faults, but he did swing him forward and it proved to be a good move. I was actually looking at the stats. He only kicked 9 goals. I thought he would have had more than that for some reason. It just felt like he had a few really good games. But the fact that he was able to at least have a positive impact on the team was a surprise to me. And so, another contract maybe for him coming, even if it's just 1 year or something to that effect. But it's good that a veteran player can leave a positive impact.
No, sure. He's actually pretty reliable down there, wasn't he?
Yeah, pressure game's huge as well. He definitely helps our forward line keep it in there as well. So, huge on Tom Cole. I'm glad that he's come up and shown a bit of fight.
Yeah, big.
Well, I had Rhett Bazzo for me. I think,
Love it.
I mean, this guy, I thought he was Kurt was big on him past. He knew that he was going to become this player. I feel like he had that written in his brain. But for me, I thought he was done.
Really?
I thought he was done. I think Andrew McQualter thought he might have been done because at the start of the season, Andrew McQualter was like, I don't know how many games Rhett was going to play, if any. And then he comes into the side and proves his worth when Ruben and Harry go down. So I'm just so happy for him. He gets the 3-year deal to 2029. Just been a shining light in a pretty poor season as well. I think he's definitely helped our back stocks for the future. Him and Ruben can become leaders in that back line and can really show us in the future. I think back in the day we had Shannon Hearn and Jeremy McGovern. Can we have a Ruben Jimby and Rhett Bazzo? Maybe that's our future. So I don't know. I mean, I'm just so super happy for him and just a great little season. Good little surprise. Very
great
happy with that.
success story for sure. And you're right, it was a surprise. Even as you say, I was optimistic for him, but I was sort of starting to lose hope.
Yeah.
So definitely a nice surprise. Definitely got down to crunch time for him in his career. And so for him to show that was great. For me, Bailey Williams is one that I was pretty happy to write off as well. We knew that the ruck rules were going to help him, but he didn't start the season in the team and ends up becoming, well, he would have finished in the top 5 for the most improved players across the whole AFL. So his game has obviously gone to another level, which is really handy for us. I don't think he's the long-term answer. I don't think that we can expect to see continual gradual improvement. This is probably the best we're going to get from him as a really serviceable ruckman and someone who eventually is going to be a great resting forward backup ruck.
100%.
But that's something we really needed because our ruck stocks were looking really, really dire there at stages, and he stood up for us at times. Some honourable mentions. I think TK was a nice surprise to bounce back for sure, and Liam Baker we were speaking about before. If you want to go with a negative one, that's definitely a surprise for me to see him fall away in that manner. But we'll wrap up the individual chat for now. We'll get into the team as a whole in a moment, but we obviously have been voting toward our MVP award this year. So I'll quickly run through the final standings, maybe a couple of words from us on the standouts. But a surprise packet for sure was Marcus Herbert coming in at 11th, which is crazy good for a mid-season pickup. Perfect 10 votes against Fremantle, obviously helped his cause a fair bit. To round out the top 10, we had Bailey Williams and Elliot Yeo tying for 9th. Job Shanahan in at 8th, which was nice. 29 goals was a great return for a second-year key forward. Willem Dersma in at 7, a top 10, finishing the best and fairest for him. His debut season is a nice little result. Milan Murdoch in at 6. It is remarkable to think that he wasn't on the list in January.
Unreal.
And he's 1 vote out of the top 5 of our MVP. That was Tom McCarthy, a mid-season pickup from last year. Had a sneaky good year off half-back. Sneaks into the top 5, which I definitely didn't expect, but a good year from T-Mac.
Yeah, good year from T-Mac. And I think we started him earlier on in the midfield, and then we started to realise that wasn't the project for him. I think he's definitely locked his position down half-back, and it's just really improved defensively. I think has been the biggest improvement in his game. So definitely happy for him.
Yeah, definitely. He had a big preseason as well, right? That's all the what I heard out of the club is that he's having a massive preseason. So that's probably why they tried him out in the midfield there for a while. But I like him at halfback. Even last night he had a moment where he was running off halfback and was able to split the game open in one of those moments. So if he can do that a bit more often, I think he'll be a jet for us for a while. Yeah,
absolutely. Really happy with how his defensive game came on. I still hold out hope that if all of our halfbacks come on, he could be one that pushes up to the wing and fills a void there, for sure. But just a nice, versatile player to have floating around there, and looks like he's going to play a lot of footy for us. Ruben Jinby in at 4th on 59 votes, 59 of a possible 130 votes that he could have polled in his 13 games. So he was right up the top with Harley, as we said, when he went down, and then it was just a matter of how long he could hold on for. But it'd be so nice to see him rewarded with a podium finish at the best and fairest, because he bloody deserves it. But that looks unlikely now, given his injury. But great year from Ruben. Our top 3, Jake Waterman in at the 3 with 65 votes. Finished 10th in the Coleman, which was a sneaky good result for someone who couldn't buy a goal.
Yeah, he's gotten out of kick, hasn't he? But at least he's still got the rest of his game is still in good order. So it's actually probably a good sign for the future, the fact that he was able to get so many shots this year. And yeah, I mean, he had a good year. It was just unfortunate that his goal kicking let him down a bit.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think everything else in his game is elite. So He'll be sort of semi like a new recruit next year if he can bring his kicking boots and to almost reach the 50 goals, having his career worst goal kicking season is great signs for him.
He needs to see a sports psych or something, I reckon. Get him like in a therapist or a psychologist or something, because it's in his head at this point.
You just feel for him, don't you?
Yeah.
But in maybe some positive foreshadowing here, someone who managed to turn it around from last year, Tim Kelly, came in at second in our MVP.
Awesome.
And looks like a podium finish on best and fairest night. Had an outstanding bounce back year on 74 votes. 74 votes took out second, 121 votes took out first place, which was Harley Reid. He had 121 of a possible 230 votes. That's if he polled a perfect 10 every week. So had 52% of the votes on offer. I think that's an average of Rhino and I giving him 3 out of 5 every single week, which is remarkable and just speaks to what a consistent year he had for us.
Just a beast in the contest for us this year. He's had to do the grunt of the hard work for the boys, and he's just really gone in tough. He's had an amazing preseason, as we said, and he's got his body right and he's got his fitness right, and players have gone around him and players are helping him out, unfortunately. So he's doing the grunt work, but Tim Kelly and that has definitely helped him out as well in this season, definitely provided more opportunity for him in the midfield.
You can kind of tell like straight away he was looking fit as well, like round one compared to round one last year. I mean, you could actually like see the difference. So awesome year for him, and it's good that he's fulfilling his potential.
100%. Looking forward to him going to even to another level next year. Hopefully he's there round one. I've got my doubts. That's enough of the positive stuff, boys. Some of the individual stuff, sort of, living in La La Land there a little bit, being optimistic about this season. Let's talk some negatives. I want the hard-hitting stuff here. We'll get into the team segments. We all know the phase we're in, unfortunately, with list turnover. So it's never really as simple as a black and white pass or fail. But if you had to sit there for the sake of the podcast, in terms of this season, are we happy with what happened? Are we giving it a pass or are we giving it a fail?
I'm giving it a very tentative pass. Just because we won more games, really, which at the start of the season, I would have said win more games, a better percentage, maybe a bit more competitive in certain games, and then that's probably a good result. And that's sort of what happened. So even though it ended in a really bad way, 11 losses in a row to end the season. The last 2 weeks have been terrible, but I think as a whole, it is a pass. But I also think this season can be judged more, after the end of next season. Because if we have another terrible season next year, then it makes this year look worse. But if this looks like a step towards long-term improvement, then it's better. But yeah, it's hard to come away saying you're happy with a 4-win season, but I sort of am a little bit.
Yeah, it's probably the sensitive take. And maybe I'll feel more like that a little bit later. Rhino, how are you feeling about the season? Pass or fail?
Look, I think it's kind of a bit of both. I think the first half of the season was a pass.
Can't be sitting on the fence.
I can be sitting on the fence, Kurt.
I'm sitting on the fence too, don't worry.
I'm sitting on the fence because I think the first half of the season was definitely a pass, but after the bye was an utter complete failure. 11 losses in a row, finishing the season losing by 60 points. It's a horrible look, really, and we saw some improvement definitely in the start of the year, but we played really soft opposition early on. We played North Melbourne, we played Port, who were considered down the bottom of the ladder, and we copped them off easy when I think we were looking pretty good early. We had Dev Robin, we still had Ruben Jimby, and we started to see when we lose these guys, these important players, Harry, Ruben, and we just crumble, and our list is not deep enough. I mean, we have so many players on the list, but our quality is not deepened down into the later, lower end talent in our list, and we just haven't really showed up in our last 11 games, and that's just really been unfortunate. I think I'd probably lean towards more of a fail, to be honest, for the entirety of the season, because I said we're going to get 4 wins in the season, but I would have liked to have seen that more spread out and be closer in a lot more games than we have been. I think we've been close in a few games, but we've always looked like the team that was going to end up losing the game. So I think I'd definitely lean towards fail, but I mean, I said we'd have 4 wins at the start of the year and we had 4 wins. So, I mean, it's maybe a par or a bogey. What do we call it? I don't know. But yeah, it wasn't that great.
Really good reasoning there. I like that. For me, it just has to be a fail, and I'll tell you why. So clearly we know that in time, everything is going to click, and hopefully these few years are just all going to be irrelevant, and it's a development year and we can write it off that way. But we've heard so much about game plan. To be honest, there's not one thing that I look at when I watch us play and I can hang my hat on and say, we're good at that. We're great at that. That is the future. If anything, I see twice as many holes or things that are going to need fixing in the future, which just, I think it's going to be a massive summer. I don't know where that even start, to be honest. And yeah, this pessimism has slowly started to creep in over the season. As you said, we had such a great start.
Yeah.
And then we got a bit of a reality check, some big losses in there, and then just a little bit of a fight back, but it's just slowly the losses have piled up and the margins have gotten bigger and bigger and the concern's grown. So in a development year, I think I just need to see more growth in terms of the method and the way that they play.
Yeah.
But no doubt some of the numbers are going to back up what they've gone after. And so that can be worrying because you can think that maybe they're getting a pass for something they shouldn't, or that could be positive because the numbers are the numbers. So as Noah said, and you sort of alluded to, it's going to be, we would judge this year in the future, as weird as that sounds. And so fingers crossed, but I'm finding it hard to get excited about next year, knowing that a lot of this sort of pain and these results are probably going to be on the horizon for us.
Do we need to become less reliant on individuals? Because it sort of felt like when Ruben went down, that was the season done, and that was in the middle of the year. So I think
after that Port loss became that 11-round losing streak. Really, that was the first one. We had the Essendon game, and then we had that Port game where Ruben goes down, and we probably win that game if we have Ruben down back there.
So no Ruben, no win.
No win. Pretty much.
It feels that way, doesn't it?
No Ruben, no win.
For sure. But maybe that is just the formula for rebuilding teams, is you are going to naturally rely on that.
Yeah.
I think I heard someone put it really well, might have been Jesse from True Eagle, saying that he was watching the game and seeing so many players running around that he feels don't have a future at the level. And I think we're still sort of in that phase, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But we'll see. We'll see where we land up. It's funny to divert back to a positive now, but before we get into some negatives again, let's find a positive, a green light from a team perspective. Something that we look at and we can say, you know what, that was good. That was positive. Because I've just said I was having a hard time doing that. What are our green lights for 2026?
Well, for me, I don't really look at stats. I'm not that guy. You two are the stats guys. I'm more of like a visual guy, and I see it down the ground. I think our defensive structure has improved from last year. I think our defensive...
Really?
No, 100%. It's improved. Wow. I think our defensive structure was horrible last year. I think forwards are killing us. They were kicking 10 against us. They're tall forwards, and now we've limited them to like 5 goals, which is, it's an improvement. I'll say that. It's an improvement, but it's not great. But I think in the contest, I think we've been a little bit better in the contest as well. Harley's been a real leader in that, getting in the grunt in the midfield, getting first receiving. But yeah, I think, it's hard to find like green lights in such a poor season. But I think overall, as a total like performance, I think we've improved from last year. And I think a lot of players have definitely stepped up from last year. I think guys like Tim Kelly were out of the whole season last season. It was crap, really. Yeah. And it was gone down to waffle, and guys like Elliot Yeo are back and been a bit better in the contest, and we've needed that. But yeah, overall, I think we've been better. But in terms of stats, we're below AFL average in pretty much everything. We're down in the bottom 3 for pretty much every stat in the business. I think clearances, we're close, but we're just not really a great team, and we're not really set up for the future, which you said, I think earlier, our team structure, and we haven't seen a method this year, which I've been pretty upset about. I think these are the sort of years where we need to start building a team structure and building layers of our team progression. Guys like Brisbane,
isn't it?
That's what we're looking for, like taking on the corridor like Brisbane do in games like Sydney. Like, show a bit of method to how we're going to win for the future instead of entries like bombing inside 50 and trying to stay in games. How about we just let games blow out and improve our players and improve our team performances? So, it's hard to find.
There has to be a healthy balance, and maybe in fairness, given what I'll touch on in a minute, I might go now just because it flows on so well.
Yeah.
For me, my green light was the increase in winnable games.
Yeah.
I say that in quotation marks. So this year, there were 9 games that we either won, or if they lost, it was less than 2 goals.
Yeah. Okay.
9 games. So you could say that's 9 games that were close and potentially winnable, which has to be an improvement. And that is given some of the game style that you mentioned and some of the ability to stay in games. And you said potentially they should allow it to blow out in order to play the kids and play a more attacking style. Not sure I totally agree with that because we saw like how much do you learn from losing by 150 points to Sydney?
I agree.
So potentially that can be a green light, absolutely. And on team defense, they were able to defend and get repeat entries pretty well. So their defensive structure when inside forward 50 was actually really solid. That Port game we touched on, a lot of those games that were close, these 9 games by less than 2 goals.
Yeah.
A lot of that, they were able to jam it in the front half late and play a front half game and slowly grind them down and almost get there.
Yeah.
And so from that aspect, the defense has absolutely improved. Noah, do you have a green light for season 2026?
Yeah, just I guess finally seeing the like core of what a good team could look like and maybe where you can build around. So like we've got the star forwards or the future star forwards in like Waterman and Shanahan. And then down back, we talked about Bazzo and Jinby. Obviously, they still need help back there, but at least there's, something to work around. And then in the midfield, Harley obviously having the year that he had, and then Willem, potentially a future star and guys like that. So at least there's like, even though we still need to plug a lot of holes in the list, at least there's like some kind of core that you can build
and you can
around for the future.
You?
And you can build a game plan and a list around those guys, hopefully if they become the stars that I think that they can become.
Yeah, I think you guys have touched on it really well because, as you say, we've been relying on those guys so much already.
Yeah.
When Willem doesn't play well, when Harley doesn't play well, when Ruben's not there, when Bazzo had a bad game, it was game over. Joe Shanahan doesn't take a mark, doesn't kick a goal. We're in strife up forward. So we're already relying on these guys so much, and they're clearly going to be at the centre of this next finals push. So that's got to be a green light. Let's get back into the negatives with some alarm bells. What do we think is the number one priority on Mini's whiteboard, which clearly needs fixing going into next year? There's a lot.
Yeah. The big one for me is inefficiency going forward because we spoke about Jake's inaccuracy before, but a big reason why he was inaccurate and some other guys were inaccurate is because we're getting so many shots from like the pockets when we're going forward, and that is maybe because of a lack of method as well. But we were 17th for scores per inside 50, 16th for shots per inside 50, and then we were 18th for marks inside 50. So when we're going forward, there is a kind of a lack of method, and it is sometimes just trying to find whatever option is there rather than there being like a clear structure. And I mean, you compare it to like, I was watching Freo the other week and Tracy, Amos, Voss, they hit those guys on the lead in space and in the corridor as well.
Out.
So just comparing those, to the really good team to where we're at, it's hard to watch.
The good news is that Freo were in a similar boat to us not too long ago and being heavily criticised for the method. So it can change.
It can.
Melbourne is one that I think of. They were one of the most boring teams to watch. Now, offensively, they function as a little ecosystem up forward, and it's great to watch. So it is going to be a preseason thing. Hopefully that is number one on Mini's whiteboard. Rhino, how are you feeling? What do you want to change?
Well, I think it's more our transitional defense.
Yeah,
I mean, I said defensive structure was actually all right, but I think that part of it has definitely not improved. I think definitely once the other team gets a counter attack, they look very likely to score. I think we saw it last night. I think we saw it against Freo. We saw it against Sydney for sure. They killed us on the turnover. And the games like this where you start to worry about our transitional defense, we don't have a lot of speed down back, which is a problem. I think if we can't transition down back and we can't get back and scramble like other teams are, we're going to definitely struggle in this fast-paced new AFL style of play. And I think definitely what you said with our forward craft is definitely an issue as well. But I think Mini said in a press conference at the end of the year that we're really focused on their defense this year, which is weird to see because, I mean, we still conceded about 100 points per game. So that's definitely not a positive. But
starting from a low base.
Starting from a low base. But yeah, they definitely need to work on their forward entry, and their transitional defense has been bloody awful.
It's like we've cooperated on this because you've just teed me up perfectly. So transition defense was my issue as well. And for a team that has supposedly focused on defense more than offense in 2026, we're horrible at defending, which is it's a really worrying sign. So basically, when you say, what do the Eagles need to fix? Well, they need to fix offense and defense. So essentially
everything.
And that's a direct quote from the coach saying that they've focused on defense more. So I don't think I've seen anything to suggest that our defensive system is in good shape. Sorry, Rhino. Teams are able just to walk it coast to coast against us constantly. And, there was a patch there where we were able to lock it in the front half and play a front half game.
Yeah,
with
that's
the
probably what I
interceptors,
was
but
more alarming to is our forward half lockdown.
yeah, no, for sure. And I'm with you there. But the constant throughout the year was the transition defense. And so alarm bells for me. If I had to differ from you as well, our ball movement, apparently Kingy reckons he is the wizard of stats, as we know. He went on SEN today and said that the Eagles have the worst ball movement in the AFL. And we've heard so much about ball movement in preseasons. We're going to play this fun attacking style and move the ball. We're the worst ball movement team in the comp. So
we don't have the skills to do it. Like you can see that the intent is there, but I mean, even the game last night being there, you could really see it. Like there was space for them to attack into, and they were trying to do it, but they just would turn it over or they'd handball to no one, so it was hard to watch at times.
And there is a method to that, so you can manufacture space to use the ball by having a system in contest and being in positions for each other to feed it out, chain it out of the contest, go from inside to out, and then your ball users on the outside are under no pressure with the ball in hand. And all of a sudden, executing basic skill is pretty simple.
I think as well, like our trade and draft, I think that's definitely been an issue with players we selected is we haven't got players in that are good ball users, good foot users. We got powerful players. I think we got Willem, we got Harley, Josh Lindsay is probably the only one I can really think of is a really high quality ball user in the draft. I think we've traded guys in like Liam Baker, Jack Graham. I think they're definitely not the best ball users in the AFL. And we need to hit the draft and get more ball using players, I think, that are high quality use of the footy.
I think that last year, for sure, they had athleticism and ball use at the top of their tree. Hopefully we see that. Like obviously it's hard to judge first year players. But you're right, a lot of our senior players just cannot use a footy, which is a shame. Onto the preseason focus as we sort of wrap up what we want to see. If there's one thing you could change over the summer, or you could just make the number one, so we've sort of spoken about the alarm bells, this flows off perfectly. What do we want to see the number one focus be, if you could only pick one?
Well, I think it's our offense. I think that's, for me, I think that's the most important. And I think we're so poor. We only average about 70 points per game. I think in this style of play, you need to aim for like the hundreds, 90 scores is par for sure to definitely be in that higher echelon in the ladder of the AFL. And if we're conceding so highly and we're not scoring enough points, we're definitely just going to end up staying where we are. So our offense definitely needs to improve. Our use inside 50 needs to improve, and definitely our transitional defense, as we alarmed about earlier, is definitely so important for our side for the future. And we just need to draft boys in. We need to get some muscle on these guys like Job Shanahan, Willem Dersma. Definitely hit the gym, these boys, and get a nice preseason. And the young group need to come together as a side and hit the gym together, get in early mornings and get the work in, get the blood pumping, and have a good preseason, lads. That's a big opportunity. It's a big opportunity. I think it was Kingy or Cornsey alerted it in Fireball this morning. It's a big opportunity for these West Coast group to band together and to have a really big preseason and off-season and help the club move forward. So
it's almost more exciting than the actual season.
It is, isn't it? You see like the photos of Harley Reid earlier on in the season, you think, oh, this guy's worked on his body, he's looking really good for the season, and you've seen the reap the rewards this season. He's definitely our best and fairest, and if guys can get behind him and put in the work like he did in the off-season, sky's the limit for this team if they put in the hard yards.
Yeah, and I get fit, right? Because I feel like the last couple of years, I know we've struggled the entire seasons, but the last few weeks have been terrible because we haven't really been able to run out the season. So maybe the more fit we are, the better we can run out the season. And then we were a bit too reliant on Jake, trying to kick it to Jake every time we went forward.
Absolutely.
So if, Job, I know he's still young, but if he can bulk up and have a big season next year, that'll help us out a lot.
Yeah, for sure. AFL players tend to really have maybe you look at the third year breakout, 3 years in an AFL system, and Job in particular has so much senior footy experience under his belt now. He's played over 30 games. So he'll be looking to break that 50 game mark later next season if all goes to plan, and he's kicked 40 odd goals. So definitely these players, they've been serviceable in their early years, but we're getting to the point now where they can really start to take big steps forward. The way we saw Ruben Jinby go from pretty good to great.
Right.
That's where a lot of growth is going to come from. We sort of stockpiled a lot of draftees. We heard Minnie say part of their plan for this offseason, they're not going to be bringing in 10, 18-year-olds, which I'm happy with. I think we've got plenty.
Yeah.
We'll attack the real top end of the draft with 3 picks in the top 20, and then maybe a couple of NGA boys, and that's it. We've got enough talent. We don't need more talent around the fringes. The growth is going to come from what we've already got, which is so exciting.
Yeah.
I'm with you. Connection inside forward 50 is a clear focus for me. All year, just the inability to score from entries has killed us, and killed us as supporters as well. It's just fucking hard to watch. The Eagles were the second worst team in the AFL for goals per inside 50. Even Essendon, the wooden spooners, were more efficient, which it's hard to fathom.
That's hard.
So, it's pretty disappointing. I think Marcus Herbert going forward would be a really nice magnet move. We love a position change in the preseason, bring a bit of excitement. We saw that late on in the game against the Hawks.
I know.
He's crafty enough, right? Like, I think he can create opportunities. Sure. So, yeah, I like that shout.
Yeah, he can dance in and out of traffic so easily down back. Imagine what that'd look like up forward.
Yeah.
And finding pillars of space, because it's bloody hard to do. And we lack players that have that natural evasive talent. So, that's definitely something I'll be looking toward. They've been transparent in their neglect of their offensive game this year. So hopefully it is priority number 1 over the summer. Just want the Eagles to be fun again in 2027.
Hopefully.
I think it's been a long time since they've been fun. But as we sort of put a bow on the episode, do we have any final thoughts on the season?
Well, I think Melbourne's, for me, is the blueprint for this West Coast side. They're a young side and they've band together as a group and they've united as a youthful side and have become an exciting footy team to watch, and they're still playing finals. So I think off-season is definitely, that's the blueprint for the West Coast.
Yeah, like I think one of the Melbourne players, I can't remember who it was, but he said that Stephen King basically lets them do whatever they want in attack.
Yep.
Maybe like that might be a bit extreme, but I kind of want that to kind of happen with the Eagles because...
Bit more freedom, right?
Yeah, like play with fun because they're all young and they all can play, with instinct. And maybe they can make it their team a little bit if you give them the keys.
I like it.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. Some offensive firepower would be really nice through the draft. There's been a lot of chat about a key defender, which hopefully we're going to get one with our picks in the 20s.
Yeah.
And an inside mid. I think we've got some mids. We just don't have anyone in the front half that I look at and say, you are under 190 centimetres and you could kick 3 or 4. You know what I mean? We need some firepower, some scoring power. And the good news for us is there are a couple of young blokes at the top end of the draft, which we're going to have access to one of them. So that's going to go a long way, I think. And we just need some offensive firepower because it's easy for us to sit here and say we need to start tipping more into offense. We don't really have that many weapons apart from some of the gun tools that we know we've got and stockpiled. Archer Reed's another one who has been in and out. I still think he could be a really serviceable player. Maybe think Jack Darling is the Robin to the Batman going forward. So if he can come on in what is 3rd or 4th year, I've seen he's put on a bit of size now and another big preseason. He's one that gets forgotten. So there is so much growth that can come internally. We're really looking forward to seeing it over the summer. It's a busy time for the club now with exit interviews and the like over the next week. So can you see what happens with the list? Over the next little while, I think there's 13 out of contract Eagles, which is just crazy. Cool. Waiting to see what the future holds. And no doubt there's going to be some tough calls that need to be made, unfortunately. But it's a good thing because it means this list is going to get better. It sounds like Noah Long will be sticking around. That was reported by Mitch Woodcock, which is interesting. We'll have to wait and see on the rest. I don't mind the Noah Long call. As we just said, we need someone under 190 centimetres who can kick a goal and apply some pressure. And he's shown that he's a best 23 player when up and going. So I don't hate it, don't love it.
I mean, I was excited to watch him last year or this year, I guess, before he did his knee. So it would be very harsh to I guess cut him if he's hasn't even had the chance to prove himself this year. Yeah,
it would almost be irresponsible given the list needs that we have. But we'll see how we go. It's hard to know how many shows we'll be able to bring you over the off season. It's going to be a very busy time at the farm, and so this might be a goodbye for a few weeks. If you want to stay in touch with us, please make sure to follow our Instagram at Golden Wings Podcast. We're not too far away from notching up 7,000 followers over there, so get around us. And we'll see you in the next one. Plenty of trade and draft content on the horizon, both through podcast and over on Instagram. So we'll chat soon. Lads, massive thanks for coming on and all your help throughout the year. It's been awesome.
Mate.
Yeah, no, thanks. Thanks for letting me join your little podcast here. It's great. Much appreciated. Thank you. I really enjoyed it.
First season in the studio. Come on, cuz.
Unreal. We'll definitely be back in studio to wrap up either the trade or the draft, probably both.
Yeah.
It's been huge. Rhino, as you said, you predicted 4 wins at the start of the year, and that's what we end on. So what do you predict for next season? Maybe we need to get the Oracle on it early.
Well,
Get a crystal ball up.
well, I don't know. I think we'll look later in the preseason for that, but I think 7 wins is definitely the goal. 7 or 8 is definitely the goal. But to be honest, I don't even know if we see that. But but we'll see. But that's definitely the aim for the Eagles. Otherwise, McQualter's under some serious pressure, I think.
Yeah, well, that's
6 and a draw,
isn't it?
Six and a draw.
Right, I'd probably take it.
I'll take a draw.
But you're absolutely right with Mini. He's going to be under a lot of fire if he can't get the cogs turning the right way. So it's going to be a very interesting narrative to sort of follow this next year. It could go really well or it could go pretty horribly. But we'll see. Hopefully Golden Wings are still around to keep you across it all. Thank you for listening to another episode, and we'll see you whenever the next one is.
We will see you guys.
See you later.
Thanks for listening to another episode of Golden Wings. Please take a moment to subscribe to the YouTube channel and follow along on Spotify and Apple Podcasts so you can listen on the go, leave us a like or a 5-star rating, and make sure you're following us at Golden Wings Podcast on Instagram so you don't miss a thing throughout the week. And most importantly, if you've got a friend or family member who loves their West Coast Eagles, tell them the good word, put them onto the podcast. That'd be much appreciated. We will see you sometime in the future. Can't say next week because I'm not certain on that. But have a great week and we'll see you again soon. Bye for now.